Hi everyone, Griffin here, Game Director and Lead Designer for Master of Command 7 Years War. If you like what you see today, don't forget to give our game a wishlist and follow on Steam. It's the best way you can support the project. You can also join our Discord, which is linked below. In today's development log, we'll be going over what's changed since our first devlog, and I'll be giving you a first look at our brand new battle system. For those who want to jump ahead, straight into the action, head to the timestamp on screen. Before we begin, I do want to say that for this project, we started 100% from scratch. None of our code for Fire and Maneuver, our previous game, is being carried over to Master of Command. This means we got to lay new foundations, and our aim is to deliver a polished game. That being said, we are still early in development, so everything you see here today is pre-alpha footage. There's going to be missing or placeholder UI, unfinished animations, and either absent or work in progress post-processing effects and graphics. So let's first go over what's new since our last development log. First, the most obvious change is that we've retitled our game from Master of Command Prussia's Glory to Master of Command 7 Years War, along with a new logo. This name change will reflect the new focus of our game, which will now be on representing the big 5 nations involved within the 7 Years War instead of just focusing on Prussia. Our new nation lineup now includes the Kingdom of Prussia, the Kingdom of Austria, the Russian Empire, and our 2 new factions, the British Empire and the Kingdom of France. What you just saw is a small preview of our faction selection screen. Keep in mind many UI elements and the art is still a work in progress. In a future development log, we will go over how our game differentiates each nation in some pretty major ways. Every one of our factions will receive their own main theme, reminiscent of what we created for Fire and Maneuver. The theme for Prussia, composed by Jacob Gullion, has actually already been posted, and you can hear a preview of that track now. Some new art has also recently been made, including mouse cursors and loading screens. Now, let's get to the most exciting part, the battles. So first, please keep in mind that this is a very early preview of our battle system. There's still a lot of time we'll need to give it more polish, especially in terms of animation, visuals, post-processing, UI, and the AI. You can see here that Master of Command utilizes a real-time battle system. There are no tiles, nor turns. Issuing commands is simple. Left-click to select a unit and right-click to move. Everything is quick and snappy. And while our animations are still a work in progress, it's still a lot smoother than what we had done with 2D sprites in Fire and Maneuver. Your units can access 4 different formations: column, closed order, square, and open order. Each formation comes with its own pros and cons. For example, closed order provides decent firepower and melee resilience. Column moves very quickly, but is vulnerable to enemy fire. Square formation is great to repel cavalry charges, but is immobile and vulnerable to enemy fire. And open order spaces your units out to cover a large section of the front, but is vulnerable to enemy charges and suffers from weaker morale. Something you may have noticed is that each one of our units is flying its own regimental flag. This is actually something that the player can fully customize on their own, including parts of the unit's uniform color, but we'll go into more depth about that in a future development log. Now, let's get into combat. As aforementioned, this is a work in progress, but we can see here that the AI forms columns to position their troops to the front line, before deploying in line and engaging my troops. You will notice that the AI currently has an issue where they group up a little too closely, but this is something we intend on improving greatly just over the next few weeks. You'll be happy to learn that we have a developer on our team whose primary job is to focus on AI, so we're making some great progress this early in development. If we zoom closer, we can show off some of the UI shown in combat. The white bar here displays the reload progress of the regiment. This is especially useful because we have unique weapons for all the nations in our game, and they can be mixed and matched. If you're leading a Prussian army and you beat a Russian force, you can loot their weapons and your stats will be updated accordingly. Above the reload bar, we can see our unit's strength in green and its morale in blue. We are seeking to make morale a really important part of battles, where superior positioning will win a fight rather than just sheer firepower alone. It won't be uncommon for a defeated force to rout from the battlefield without a ridiculously high casualty ratio, like 90% of its men lost. That's not to say inflicting high amounts of kills is impossible, it's just more common to defeat an enemy through morale shock rather than brute force. Speaking of shock, players in Master of Command can also control the firing method of their troops. Firing method 1 is volley fire. Using this firing method requires every soldier to have their weapon fully loaded before being allowed to shoot. This takes a little bit longer, so damage isn't dealt as efficiently as possible, but because of the powerful nature of a musket volley, it deals higher morale shock to enemies. By toggling off volley fire, troops will fire as soon as they've got their weapon loaded. This will likely deal higher casualties over time, but won't necessarily shock an enemy with sudden volleys that could send them running. This means that free fire will be better for skirmishing units, who are fewer in number and unlikely to cause a rout against a larger regiment. And volley fire is great for big and powerful units whose firepower display could send smaller units running. I'd also like to mention the division system used in Master of Command. Your regiments are all grouped under divisions, led by an officer who is deployed to a regiment of your choosing. These officers can provide passive or active buffs to the men under their command by gaining traits. Traits are received after an officer levels up in battle, and allows you to specialize your divisions towards certain playstyles. Players can have up to 5 divisions at once under their command, which means that the maximum unit size is 20. This may seem small, but because our regiments are larger in size and have their own inventories, unique flags, and stats, we found that this number is best for really getting attached to your men. On screen here is just a quick preview of how large our unit rosters are per faction, and we strived to make each and every unit unique, with no copy and paste stats or uniforms. As your units gain experience and receive promotions, they can reform into higher tier units, which you can see here in this concept art. Finally, I'd like to wrap up today's devlog with some information about Master of Command's development in general. Overall, we've been making fantastic progress in achieving our goals. All of our core gameplay systems are nearly finished. It's just a matter of spending several months polishing and improving off of the foundations we've laid. I'd also like to say thank you for the support on our previous video, What Happened to Fire Ant Maneuver. I tried my best to personally respond to as many comments as I could, and I'm hoping to win back your trust and support with a far more polished release than our previous game. I'm really excited to show you more about Master of Command, especially the real-time campaign system we recently adopted over the turn-based node system previously shown, as well as the customization features that we've added. Let us know in the comments below what part of our game you'd like to see next, and hopefully pretty soon, we can showcase a full proper battle in Master of Command 7 Years War. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to wishlist and follow, as well as join our Discord server to keep up to date.